What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Matt Burrill, here to tell you guys about my friends from Big Friendly Productions. Now, they specialize in creating merchandise for bands, artists, and even lifestyle brands. With their in-house equipment, they can provide shirts, branded hats, and more, as well as some graphic design services. They offer order fulfillment to handle your online orders and ship your merch straight to your fans from their shop down in good old Birmingham, Alabama, baby. Now, whether you are getting your first shirt, you're just starting out, or you're going on a 40-show run, hit them up for all your merchandising needs. Check out their website, bigfriendlyproductions.com, or shoot them an email, merchandising@bigfriendlyproductions.com. Now, we're going to get into the episode. This is Outside the Round with Matt Burrill. Also, make sure you guys like, rate, subscribe, tell your mama and them. And for more details and to get in touch with the rest of the familia, visit raisedrowdy.com. Now, let's get into it. Outside the Round with me, Matt Burrill, a Raised Rowdy podcast.
This is Outside the Round with Matt Burrill, a Raised Rowdy podcast.
Well, boys, this is an honor to have the fellas from Talkin Scotch, our boys Callum Kerr, Chris Andreucci, also known as Foreign Wallen. Super stoked to have you boys on the pod, and we had a good time last night over at Live Oak. Which, did you guys know what you were getting into when I told you, when I put Talkin Scotch on the flyer? Or because we talked about having like all you Scottish fellas playing around together where you guys can all have some fun. But I think you all killed it last night. It was a fucking good time.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And not really, we didn't really know what to expect there. I knew we were going to play some songs, and then as soon as I saw you were like, yeah, you ready to shoot the shit? And I'm like, well, let's get fucking drinking.
Yeah, I mean, usually we're a lot more like fucked up before we get on stage, and that last night was like, we kind of got there, like an hour before.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually we're a little bit more fucked up. So when you said just go up there and shoot the shit, we're like, right, 3 Jamesons, three Jamesons each, couple of beers, and also we had the case of beer in the back as well. So we were kept lubricated the whole time.
Yeah, and I tried to always be lubricated.
Always lubed up,
always lubed up. So I tried to give you guys some ammo early because I had heard that there was an English fella over in the side, and I feel like that kind of
loosened me up a little bit. The sworn enemy.
The sworn enemy. But then we were like, oh, it's the sworn enemy. And he just sat there like.
He had a stupid hat on. He had like a fedora hat on. I was like, dude, you fucking English.
Yeah, if you're listening to this right now, your hat's stupid, bro.
I know. And I was like, I feel bad for picking on you because his hat was so weird.
My favorite line that you guys had last night was like, let's give it up for freedom, Mel fucking Gibson.
Yeah.
I was like, I love that bit. I love the Braveheart shout out.
I may have been a little bit stoned at one point.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
that's when it came out.
Dude, that's the best though, dude.
That's the connection right there between America and Scotland. Freedom, Mel Gibson.
Freedom.
Yeah, Mel Gibson.
So,
he's the Patriot.
Cheers to Mel Gibson.
And he's Braveheart.
Well, we both fought back, and the English took over both of us for a little while, but the Americans eventually took their land back. We had a vote, like, what was it, how many years ago?
2016.
Well, almost 10 years ago now, and 52 to 48 voted. They were like, nah, let's just stay with the Union. We were like, folk were like, are you the guys that voted against your own freedom? And I'm like, it's not like that, all right? But I mean, we did.
Yeah, so I've never been out of the country, and I'm from New York, so usually I've had a passport forever, but I've never left the country.
Wow.
Holy shit!
But funny enough, so I have cousins, my Aunt Krista, my Uncle Ted, my cousins Reese and Kaylee. They bounced all around. So they started out in Arkansas. My aunt's from Maine, my uncle's from Arkansas, and it's my dad's sister. And they got moved around a bunch because my uncle worked in paper mills. So they were in Massachusetts, then Arkansas, then Massachusetts. They left Massachusetts, and he got sent to Scotland. And they lived 7 years in Scotland.
Do you know where in Scotland?
I don't. I'd have to look on their fucking Facebooks. My cousin Kaylee is actually engaged to a guy named Ian, who she met in generic fucking
Ian.
UK name. Ian.
That's my
Ian.
uncle.
Yeah, I feel like just like there's Matts and there's Nicks over here. It's like Ian is just a very Scottish proper kind of name. But
Ian.
they spent years over there, and then they came back and moved to Virginia. And so their accents are all fucked up. Like some words they say, they have a dog named Angus,
of course,
little mutt, little wiry fella. But they my cousin Kaylee and her fiance now live in London, but I know they go up to Scotland a lot and all of that shit.
There's a lot of like history of the Scots and Irish coming over to the East Coast. So like it's funny when you look at a map of like, well, I went to North Carolina for a little bit to go to school, and you see all these counties and towns and stuff, and I'm like, that's a fucking place where I grew up.
Yeah.
It's like 10 minutes from my home in Scotland, and it's like the same name town. And then I started to really look into it, and all up down the East Coast, like Virginia's got loads of like Scottish like heritage and all that kind of Appalachian mountain range and stuff is all Scottish.
In Alabama, the big city in Alabama is Birmingham, and then next to it is Leeds, and it's like all fucking English, Scottish. Like there is a lot of that kind of influence. When did you guys get over stateside? Because I can tell by your accents, you didn't grow up here. You definitely grew up overseas in the cold, rainy climate of. It seems like it's cold and rainy over there all the time. Is it?
It's pretty cold and rainy. I mean, we get a good summer every once in a while, and it's probably only for like a month.
A couple of days.
Yeah, really. Let's not talk it up too much.
And the beach is just packed those 3 days, right?
Oh,
Everybody goes.
It can be like 65 degrees, and the beach is absolutely flooded with people.
Well, they call it taps off, so tops off. Everyone. So if it gets over like a certain temperature, even if it's still cold here, you guys will be wearing hats and gloves here, and we've got people like shirtless on the beach in Scotland, like drinking and getting fucked up, and it's like fucking.
The Scots go mentally for a bit of sunshine. It like changes the whole atmosphere. Like we go from like sarcastic kind of I don't know what you say.
Bastards.
Miserable. That's an easy way, but miserable old bastards. And we're very sarcastic. A lot of time spent in the pub. As soon as the sun comes out, you got people like shirtless at the
ice cream shop at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday.
There's folk walking down the street with a couple of open cans of beer in their hands, shirtless, beetroot red, because they're not used to the sun over there, so they immediately burn. And the whole place is just like mayhem. You get like everyone's got their little mini disposable barbecues on the beach, and it's just like
there's always a fight,
party.
Isn't there?
It's always fighting.
I feel like there's always a fight. You guys, Scottish folks, you guys get wild.
Yeah,
we get a bit rowdy. Ray's rowdy from time to time.
Yes, Ray's rowdy. Exactly, on brand. And I feel like
we're like the tame ones, to be honest. Like,
yeah, you're domesticated because you've been over here, which is funny that you come to Nashville and that kind of slows you down. That tells you about how wild it can be out there in Scotland, because you guys' tolerance for booze is a lot higher over there. Like I feel like if I'm at a bar with an Irishman or somebody from Scotland or whatever, somebody that's a foreigner, they will outdrink a lot of the folks that we have over here.
It's not anything to be proud of, but it is something. Like I've been, back to your original question, like I've been coming to America on and off for like 4 years, but I've been in Nashville for about just under 2 now, and that's one thing I did notice when I went to college here is like it was pretty drastic. Like I was just kind of getting going. Like my cogs were just starting to turn on like a Friday night, and then people were like passing out and shit. And I was like, dude, we've not even went to the bar yet. I'm like, there's it's a blessing and a curse. Like I never really touch wood. Don't really embarrass myself because I can handle my alcohol. But then there's also like I go out and I'm got to spend a lot more money than some people that just go out for a few drinks. So it's a kind of win-win and a win-lose,
Yeah.
What have you found? And you've been here for much longer than me, haven't you?
Yeah, we do a lot more volume, I think. Like obviously with pints, even our pints are 2 ounces more than your pints.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like much, but the glass just looks so much bigger. And growing up playing rugby, like you don't get away with anything. Like if you have 2 drinks in your hand, you got to drink one, sink one. If you're you're double parked, basically. If you drink, we used to do this thing called Buffalo Rules.
Yeah.
You remember
You
Buffalo
drink
Rules?
with your left hand, you have to drink.
Yeah, we did it round the clock. So if the minute hand is between 12 and 6, you got to drink with your right hand. And as soon as it goes to like 31 minutes past the hour, you got to change it to your left hand. So if you're caught with 2 drinks in your hand, someone's like, he's double parked, down one. If you drink the one with the wrong hand, you got to drink another one. Mm-hmm. So you're just like, people are just constantly passing you drinks. And like now every time I go, I've slowed down. So now, even though we drink a lot here, but like when I go back home, I'll be like this much through a fucking massive ass fucking stein of beer. And they're like, what are you doing? You're double parked. There's another one. And then you've bought someone else around. And all of a sudden you've got like 4 fucking pints of beer. It's like 100 ounces of beer, and folk are like, down it, you fucking dick.
The lads get on to you.
Yeah, and they'll do it to your girl as well.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Really?
I've taken, like, my ex was American. I took her back, and she got hammered. So all these Scottish guys were like fucking forcing her to down her pints.
Double park.
I mean, a big part of it, I think, as well, is that it is cheaper here cheaper back home. To drink in Scotland, and you know the difference is you guys do a lot of shots. So we'll maybe do a shot every now and then. Is like 1 tequila or 2 tequilas throughout the night. Whereas here it's like every time you go into a bar, especially playing as regular as like I do, like you end up drinking shots all the time, and that's the only thing that I can still like handle myself, but I'm just like blackout, like just talking to people. And
You'd rather enjoy the cocktail than throw it down. You'd rather throw back beers than throw back. Yeah. And the shots get expensive here too, dude. The Nashville drink prices get out of hand.
Well, it's like you can spend like $13 on a shot at Losers, you know, and like we frequent the place pretty fucking often.
It was not that way when I moved here. Losers, like Midtown was the spot where you didn't pay premium prices for drinks because it was all of us local motherfuckers, you know, because it was the folks that are in music that can't afford the drinks on Broadway. That's why we went to Midtown. But now it's like Losers is just it's like going to Broadway. It's a tourist spot, which is great for you guys to play music because you're making more in tips. You have a packed bar. You're meeting all kinds of different people at Losers. It's wild over there.
Yeah, it's good fun. I mean, I'm very grateful for that gig. And you know, people asked me the other week, they're like, "How did you get that?" And I was like, I don't fucking know, actually. I just kind of fell into it.
Just being here.
I mean, being here and showing up. Like, I think I covered somebody's gig for them, and then they were like, we'd love you to come and play. And then, like, a year down the line, I got the band thing. I just had a random thought. I drove past it. You know Broadway Brewhouse, the one that's on the corner?
Yeah, Mojo,
It's now opening back up as a different thing.
Yeah.
The grand opening is on, like, the 11th, which is tomorrow.
I wonder if they're going to have the... what the hell are they called? The Bushwhackers over there. Do you like those?
I love the Bushwhacker.
You like the Bushwhacker?
I say bush. See, when I try and order a bush light in America, people are like, "What the fuck are you saying?" And I'm like, "Bush." And then I look like I'm having like a stroke sometimes as well because I wear a retainer. So like,
so you're already
I'm
playing
already
at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
It's already hard to fucking.
I'm disabled. I'm vocally disabled. That's fucked up. Sorry.
Hey, do you have any good John Daly stories being at Losers as much as you are?
I've only partied with them once, and talking about people that can drink, that guy can fucking drink. Like, he's just pounding back like Crown and Cokes or Jack and Cokes or Whiskey Cokes, and it's just like every like 5 minutes there's another drink going down.
Something I love about Daly as being a long time smoker. Back in the day, you could smoke in Losers in the whole building, and Winners you could smoke right behind the stage, like that indoor when you make a left in the Winners at Whiskey Jam. You used to be able to just rip cigs in there. That was how it was when I moved here about 5 years ago. Wherever John Daly is, and wherever Aaron Lewis is, they are the smoking section. They're in. So John Daly comes to your apartment, lights up a cigarette. It's the smoking section now. Like wherever Daly is, he can legally smoke. That's why I think he flies private and he drives around in his bus. Because he can smoke a cigarette and do a shot and drink his Crown and Cokes wherever the fuck he wants.
There's some really cool perks of like being at that level of fame. So my whole goal is not to get a number one. It's just so I can fucking rip a dart somewhere. You know, I need a cigarette while I'm doing it right here, right now, bitch.
And then how did you end? So I met you through John Haywood.
John Haywood, yeah.
John Haywood at the local one night.
That was ages ago.
That was right in the heart of COVID. That was like, I want to say 2021. I want to say it was 21.
I came through Mexico twice in order to get here.
You what?
Yeah, I
like
did
actually, yeah.
Yeah,
you had to come through Mexico?
Yeah.
So you were part of that immigration down south?
Yeah, I mean, I was white. But
we're
like,
smuggling in Scottish guys through the south border.
Yeah, they were like, what the fuck is this guy? This guy's the biggest, most obvious mule ever. I look so white as well.
Everyone else is like 5'6". You know? They've got like toolbox in their hand and he's there with his guitar.
Big bird holding the guitar.
I'm going, ole, como estes? Like saying it all wrong and shit.
How much time did you spend in Mexico?
A month. I did 2 weeks. So the rule was I couldn't fly directly as a United Kingdom national. We couldn't fly directly into the US during COVID. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to get to America. But I had to go through Cancun for 2 weeks over spring break. So I did there, and I just partied in an all-inclusive resort, got to Nashville, spent 3 months here, came back for 2 weeks or a month, and then did the whole thing again to Mexico and did it. And then I got my visa eventually. So.
Did you leave the resort?
Yeah.
What's I've never been to Mexico. I've heard you don't fucking leave the resort in Cancun. Like shit can get a
Cancun was
little wild.
okay. That was the second time I'd been, but it's like everywhere. You take a wrong turn or you go looking for bad coke or whatever, you're gonna get into trouble.
Nose beers.
Yeah, I did. Can't say no to a nose beer.
Yeah, I mean.
Anyway, I keep distracting the conversation.
When? Because did you come here first, or were you in another spot in the United States first?
Yeah, I lived in Austin, Texas. I was kind of back and forth from there to London. So I was in Austin. I was with a girl out there, but I'd gone there before that. I don't know why. I was just kind of like 17, and I was like, well, fuck staying in Scotland and, doing nothing.
I want to see the world.
Yeah. So I was looking for jobs, and I was originally aiming for California because I was like, I'm thinking about getting into acting. I went to this job fair, and all the like jobs that were available in California just had huge lines, because obviously everyone just thinks of like Hollywood and the beach and Venice and shit like that.
Meanwhile, from an American's perspective, more people are leaving the state of California than any other state in the country. Like nobody wants to fuck. But funny enough, they're going to Austin. So you went to the second closest thing to California, Austin, Texas.
That was like 2011 or something like that.
Oh wow!
So like people were still thinking that California was Mecca, and I was like, I can't be bothered waiting in those lines. And I just turned to the left, and there was like this sports camp that they were like, "Do you want to teach kids how to play sports?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Why not? No one had lined up for that
Pickleball
one.
or something. What were you coaching them?
So I sat down, and the guy was like, "Here's your hiring." I was like, "Do you not want to interview me or anything?" He was like, "Nah, you're in, but you're in. Just get ready. It's going to be 110 degrees for 3 months." And I was like, "Sounds perfect." Jumped in there, and then I loved. That was just outside Austin. Loved Austin. Was there for like 7 years on and off in between acting jobs in the UK and Europe. And then I did a TV show called Monarch, which was like a country music TV show.
Yeah.
And everyone I worked with was from Nashville. We filmed it in Atlanta, but everyone I worked with was from Nashville. And I was like, there's got to be something to Nashville. Because all I'd heard before was it was like, bachelorette parties and cheesy, like, bad impersonators of country artists. Dude, I came here and I was like, well, I've got to move here now. This is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I kind of wanted Austin to be with like the music stuff.
Yeah.
Like the collaborations, the drinking, the networking, like, you walk outside, we're in, this apartment right now. I live upstairs. You're surrounded by talent, and it's just
There's an energy. There's an energy to it, and there's energy to other American cities. Like I'm from New York. There's a lot of fucking energy up there, but it's a different kind of energy. There's such a creator's vibe here in Nashville for all kinds of shit.
Totally.
Yeah, I agree. I think I get people asking a lot back home. They're like, why could you not just go to London and do music down there? Is London not got a music scene? And I'm like, yeah, it does. But like, they're closing down bars or stopping live music in venues in Scotland and across the UK. And I'm like, you're never going to find somewhere where you can go and play a writer's round, get paid good money to play music and entertain people, and like walk out your front door and hang out with like a famous person. And they're like, cool. Send me your song or whatever.
And meet other creators, like the folks that you guys have probably met in your time here, in your short time here.
Totally.
You wouldn't find that in London.
Well,
Totally not.
London is not a music city. It's just where the music happens to be in the UK. So it's like London's it's like New York. There's business, there's banking, there's
lots of trains,
trains.
Lots of trains.
You come to Nashville, it's very clear.
No trains in Nashville.
No trains. There's train tracks. I've only ever seen a couple of trains, and they're just stopping traffic.
So they have them, but they've been voting to extend them or whatever. Like there's been a vote the last few years. And what they're worried about is like if you go down to Williamson County, like where Franklin's at, and like Brentwood, and the nice area where we all want to end up one day, where all the stars live. Yeah, that's where you want to be. No fucking problems. Gas is like almost $4. It's the place where you want to end up. But they don't want there to be access from downtown to that. But how great would it be if you just had a rail system, a mass transit system that could run along 65 or 40 years? Would eliminate so much of our traffic.
It would be great if, like, I was thinking about that with like like if I was living in London and I need to go up to Edinburgh, which is home, it's like an 8-hour drive, or I can get on the train, it's 4 hours. It's like, imagine we could get to like Atlanta in 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like all the kind of other major cities, that would be so much easier.
Yeah.
You know?
Something's got to give in Nashville though, because like it's so hard to get around now. And I even like the Taylor Swift weekend that we just had.
Oh, you boys were here for that. I was down in Key West, so I avoided it.
You missed
I
it.
was partying down in Key West for a week.
I'm jealous. I couldn't go this year, but obviously there was 500,000 people almost in Nashville, and they tried to the traffic department, whatever you want to call them, tried to like make it somewhat like close off roads and figure some sort of transport route out, as you guys say here, and it was fucking fucked up. Like, you couldn't get anywhere. Like, you got to get picked up from anywhere. You had to be like 10th Avenue, like up from Broadway and stuff. Like, I walked everywhere because I was drinking and playing. I was like, I'm not getting an Uber. Ubers were like $45 for like an 8-minute ride. Yeah. And I was like, fuck that. If there was a train or a bus, you'd even use it. You know.
Yeah. And you know what else was going on this weekend here, right? So it was Taylor Swift, but there was also
Chris and Cal at Winners. That was a big one.
Yeah, Chris and Cal Winners. Yeah, that was a big one. Marquee event of the weekend. You boys, the Scotch boys. Janet Jackson at Bridgestone. So that was a sold out show. You had Trevor Noah at the Ryman. You had, I believe, another show at the Ryman, and then all three of the major colleges here.
Whiskey Myers as well was playing.
Yeah, Whiskey Myers was at Ascend. Then you had, you also had Tennessee State, Belmont, and Lipscomb all having their graduation commencements that weekend. And Oprah was the fucking speaker at Tennessee State.
No way.
So you had all of that going on top of the stadium shit, and then the weather that came in on Sunday, bro.
That was bad. Someone sent me one of the tweets from Nissan Stadium, and it was like, yeah, we're undercover, and I went on and looked at the replies, and it was just like so many people trying to be in like the concourse area.
70,000 in the concourse.
But like, think about it. That stadium isn't built for the people on the pitch either.
Yeah.
So like everybody was crammed in. I was like, there'd be young people having panic attacks and shit. I was like, fuck that.
Yeah. Could you imagine being like an old heavyset person with your kids? Like imagine being the grandma or the grandfather taking their grandchildren to see Taylor Swift, and you're in that shit. Like fuck.
Yeah,
that.
absolutely no.
That's why. But she came out and played. I had a one time that I experienced weather at a concert. It's actually with the patriarch saint of country music in the UK, Mr. Garth Brooks, who without Garth, I don't think there are guys like yourself coming over here doing this country music thing. I saw Garth at Yankee Stadium in New York City.
Wow.
And it poured rain, and it was thundering with perfect thunder rolls, right on brand for Garth. And he ended up coming out playing the show at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was there. I got on my train to go home at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I don't tell her, but that's the thing. It's when you have that big of a show, you gotta play it.
Well, yeah, I saw him last year when he did the 2 Nissan Stadium shows, and my dad was in town. I took him for his birthday, and that was fucking sick. Like, Garth is old, right? And he's running about the stage. Like, I've seen Morgan, I've seen all these people live, and he was running around just as much as like Morgan Wallen does.
With the headset, he doesn't. He needs his hands to be.
He has the old Britney Spears.
Tele salesman,
dude,
you know.
Yeah, he's always had that.
Britney Spears.
Yeah, he's always had the Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera shit. The in sync when they're dancing and stuff. Like,
oh baby.
Yeah. Garth has always had that headset, and that's part of what's made him such a good entertainer, because you can run around and fly when you don't got to worry about a mic and a mic stand.
Yeah, totally.
It's funny. Takes off like Peter Pan, you know.
Oh, dude. Yeah,
over the crowd.
Yeah.
His left bollock just like hanging out the fucking harness. Some kid in the front's like, what the fuck? Scarred for life.
The harness doesn't work. He's just teabagging everyone in the front.
Just dragging his nuts across the front row.
Pull me up.
Some guy's like, oh yeah.
Some guys.
And you know what they call him when that happens? They call him Girth Brooks.
Girth Brooks, yeah. So it's just like a chain of people holding on to cocks. So that's fucking weird. I'm still hungover.
Might be a different kind of show.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. When, you been to play that gay bar?
Can you imagine in some world that Garth Brooks is watching this, just like, for fuck's sake?
So I've interviewed him twice. which was cool. Back before I moved to Nashville, when I was in college, they sent me as an intern at the radio station I later worked at. None of the people that were full-time people wanted to go, and they didn't, I think, know what it was going to be. It was the press conference announcing the Yankee Stadium show. So me being being a kid in college, I'm like, I fucking love the New York Yankees. I love country music. You're telling me you're going to send me on a train to go up to Yankee Stadium, hang out in the Yankee Stadium press room where like Derek Jeter and all those guys have been? I was like, sure, I'll take it. And he was a really nice guy, really cool dude. And then I met him, I hung out with him in Jersey too when he did a show later on that tour. But I don't know if he's watching this. I've been to where he started. So his start came in, have you guys been all around the country, or have you guys been like in the States?
Fairly.
Yeah.
Like if y'all touched like the Midwest at all? Like have you guys been to Oklahoma or Nebraska, like where there's nothing?
I've been to Kansas.
Okay, yeah, there's nothing.
Wichita.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful drive, but it's the most boring drive you'll ever do because it's flat as fuck.
It's like, your dog runs away from home and you can just see it running for miles.
Oh yeah.
Come back! Oh, fuck it. He's 2 states away, but it's fine.
But you can still see him.
Yeah, oh, dude, you could see that. You'll see like one tree just out in a field, and that tree could be like 100 miles away, but it's all that's there.
It's just so flat.
You're like to the girl, meet me under the tree. What one? The 200 miles or the 300 miles?
The one fucking tree in this state.
There's only one. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I went to the 300-mile one. Sorry, I'll see you in 2 days.
Took a little detour, but yeah. So Garth he got his start at the place called the Tumbleweed in Stillwater, Oklahoma. He was a bouncer there. That's where he met his wife, and he was the house band there. So it's cool. Like I've gotten to go around and go to all these different venues. Like I've seen where Toby Keith started out in Denver, Colorado. Like different spots. Like so for you guys, like going around. If like you've been to Florida and you've been to like California. Where have been like some of the like major American cities that you've been to? Have you guys done New York before?
Yeah, I've never played in New York. I've done probably over 20 states now. I did a little tour after I was in college. I just played as many places like coffee shops and places.
Yeah.
I was getting paid under the table and stuff. So if the IRS sees this, don't come after me.
That's the best. The cash payment under the table is the best.
And but yeah, I did about 20 states. My favorite place to play is probably Chicago. Dave.
You know Dave.
Yeah. He took us up there one time.
What a perfect thing! The Irish and the Scotch coming together.
And those guys are like proper Irish. They're still like have an accent. They still wear like the Gaelic football shirts and stuff.
They're off the fucking boat, bro. They're off the boat and they hopped on something to get to Chicago because it's the middle of America. But yeah, Dave, his name on social media is Irish Dave. Like he's straight off the boat.
I met him in Key West, not this year obviously, but last year, and John Haywood was like, man, you got to meet this guy, he's from Ireland. And I was like, cool. And he's like, so in Scotland, in Glasgow, there's 2 main soccer teams, Celtic, who's traditionally the Catholic team, and Rangers, who's traditionally the Protestant team. So it's like hatred. And
real hatred.
Really?
Oh, street fights every time they play.
Like hooligans and shit?
Yeah.
And
mental. Yeah.
So I'm a bit lit in Key West last year, and all I hear is, if you hate the fucking Rangers, clap your hands. And I'm like, oh, I must be tripping or something. And then the next day he keeps, and this guy's like hilarious. So we became good friends. And so I went up to Chicago and played with him, and they're just really good people. They love country music, and they just wanted to look after me. Like I wanted to go to a Cubs game. I've never been to a baseball game before, Major League Baseball. And they were like, yeah, do you got tickets already? This guy will pick you up and drop you off. And I was like,
brilliant.
It's really cool. Where's your favorite place?
That's cool. I loved Austin, but yeah, lived there.
Did you ever see the Chicken Man in Austin?
I don't think so. What's that?
It's a homeless guy. So Austin has their famous homeless guys, just like
New
Nashville,
York.
like
You've
both
got
like New York and Nashville and any city. It's fucked up. But
Chicken guy.
Dude walks around in his underwear.
That was Callum, actually. That's why I had to move.
Dude walks around in his boxer briefs, and he's got a rooster on his shoulder, and he just runs around peeing on stuff.
Is it live? The rooster live?
Yeah, the rooster's a real thing.
I bet I've seen him at some point.
Curtis Lowe. That's what we called him.
You know what? But Austin, like traditionally, it was always like the weird part of Texas.
Oh, it's keep Austin weird.
Keep
That's
Austin
their saying.
weird was their thing, and I've probably seen him. But like, if you go down 6th Street, like you'll just see like random women walking around like with no bra on, and it's just like all feminist movement. So you're just like, that's mental. And then, but like, you don't know if they're homeless, topless, or if they're like feminist,
They're proving a point.
topless, or if they're, and then those,
Or they just lost their shirt.
or they just lost their shirt, or they're just a, 6th Street hoes getting
yeah.
fucking lit, and
Yeah.
and then one of them will start fighting with like a random homeless guy, and then like someone in a police officer's outfit, but who isn't a police officer, will jump in, and all of a sudden, like 6th Street is mental. So it was like a super fun place to like be introduced to the US when I was living there. But dude, I loved like New Orleans. I'm trying to think where. I mean, I like Florida, man. I like this. Like Miami is like so much fun.
Miami's another world.
I could live in Miami. I think
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could. They'd like you down there, Callum.
I'd have to take my SPF 400.
Yeah, you
sun
would.
cream.
You motherfuckers probably burn like no other.
I don't really tan that well. I mean, if I'm in this, I used to go to Spain every year for like a 3 or 4 week vacation when I was growing up. And if you stay there long enough, eventually I do tan. But like, we call it peely wally back home in Scotland. That's just our skin color. We're just a bit peely wally white, like chalk.
Like you almost look a wee bit ill.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you can't work out if it's jaundice or you're just from Scotland. It's one or the other,
Hey, so you were talking about Dave Kahneman. He's the origin of where the raccoon came from and Raised Rowdy.
Yeah, so he was telling me a lot about that.
He's why we have the raccoon and all the Raised Rowdy stuff. So Dave and Nikki T became good buddies through finding artists like Ashley McBride and Luke Combs and artists like that back in the day where they were internet friends. And Dave had a pet raccoon. And Dave would send Nikki pictures of the pet raccoon. So Nikki made a Raised Rowdy raccoon shirt for Dave and his kids to have as like a, hey, Raised Rowdy with your raccoon on it. Raccoon ended up getting sick and they had to put it down. Now he has a squirrel. But Dave's the man. Dave is just a vibe.
Is that even legal?
I don't
You just
think,
find it in his garden and he's like, yeah.
Dave is the guy that'll get shit done in Chicago. Like he knows everybody. When I was there for one night with him when I was up there with Trey, I shook the hands of like 5 patrolmen from the city of Chicago. Like, if you need anything, hit us up. And it's all from just knowing Dave. Like, Dave is the guy. It's like, he's connected.
Yeah. That whole bar is really cool because it's like all police and firemen. And when I was there was a funeral for someone that lost. And Chicago's pretty fucked up at the moment. Like, it's like a war zone up there.
Yeah.
I've just seen it on TikTok. But they were all having so I was playing there. It was like a Friday night. They were doing the send-off for him. And the guy was like, do you mind saying if someone says a few words, we're going to pipe his ashes in or something? So there was like bagpipes in the bar on a Friday night and everyone was like crying and have their hands. It was really emotional, but it was an officer that was killed in the line of duty. But they're really good people up there. But we should actually go up there and play. We've been thinking about
you two would be a hit up there.
Yeah.
The place is called the Emerald Isle. So it is
that's where
very
you've been.
Emerald Isle, and he's got a spot that he puts you up in, like an apartment that's like right above it or right around it.
right above it. We partied with. I was there. We partied with Ben Chapman and all his band.
Oh boy, what a dynamic of 4 and Wallen, Chris Andreucci, off the boat Scottish, partying with the Southern hippie cowboy and Ben Chapman and his band. That had to be a lot of fun. That's 2 worlds colliding right there.
Well, so Ben's drummer Dylan.
Oh, Dylan's great.
He's played with me quite a few times at
really?
whiskey jams and stuff.
Yeah.
So I usually use. He was one of the first drummers I met in town back in the day, and he really like. He's the reason that band is like so tight. Like they're such a good band. But like I know Ben likes to have a good time, and he sure does. But like they were like we partied maybe till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I remember I woke up and I was like, oh my god, and they were all like up, showered. This is at like 10. They're ready to hit the road. They were like, we're going for pizza. Do you want to come? And I'm like, fucking cotton mouth, like dry as shit. Like just we take it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Of course, I was the last one going to bed, but but they're really good dudes, and that was a good thing. But we've been talking about maybe doing like a duo thing at the end of this summer or maybe next year, where we go and play like the college towns or go up to
hit the road.
Y'all would crush
and promote the podcast as well.
Dude, Talkin Scotch,
Talkin Scotch on the road. Yeah,
dude, and
we just take all the podcast equipment with us. Play. We played Winners the other day, and I mean, Chris has got like 12 hours worth of music. I've got like an hour and a half. So we played for 4 hours. By the end of it, I was just like ultimate guitar scrolling, learning a song on the fly, like, trying to play it live.
The Nashville rehearsal in the moment on stage in front of everyone.
Exactly. So we're gonna sharpen up those tools, and then I think start getting on the road and like getting the Talkin Scotch name out and about, but also just getting around the country and just seeing some shit, making some money, and
Well, think about it. Like, how blessed are we to do things that we love? Like, whether it's podcasts or hosting an event or music or acting or a combination of all three, which is kind of what we're doing. I mean, take advantage of that. Like, go and see the world, and people are gonna pay, and if you do a good job, people appreciate that.
Yeah. Have you guys been down to the Floribama yet?
No.
Okay.
I really want to go down though.
So we're going to talk more after this, and we haven't announced it yet. It's a little bit of nugget. We're going to be announcing it in like the next couple weeks. We are doing a Raised Rowdy takeover of the Floribama in September. They're letting us book a whole weekend.
Clear the schedules.
Wait, what weekend?
September 15th.
Oh, that's good. All right, my mom's getting married in France on the 3rd, so I'll be back by then.
That's
fine. Bring her for the honeymoon.
Yeah.
Dude, Irish Dave Canavan and his whole crew from Chicago are coming down. Our buddy Josh.
Is Shiner coming?
Brilliant.
You know Shiner?
Yes, Shiner's coming.
My boy.
And then we've got like Josh Terry and all those guys. So like the very rowdy. Yeah. So it's just gonna be a big shitstorm at the Floribama of all the Raised Rowdy folks. And like it's fun. They put it so when you play down there, they put you in a band house. So the place has basically like 4 venues, three or four, Matt, right? Four venues. Matt's as an Alabama guy, he's a longtime veteran of the Floribama. He's had many nights he doesn't remember at the Floribama. They put you in a band house that sleeps everybody that's playing there. So it's like a big like college frat house of all the acts that are there. So it's fun, and it's directly across the street. So it's like easy access
From the bars and everything.
From the venue. So the venue is a massive bar. It's called the Floribama.
Oh yeah.
And half of it is on the Florida line, half of it's on the Alabama line. The business is on the Florida line for tax reasons. It's more affordable to have business in Florida than Alabama.
Gotcha.
But it's just a wild time. That would be a great place for Talkin Scotch. You guys up there play, and they're known for their bushwhackers. The bushwhackers are like.
Well, I'm sold. How do we make this happen?
Yeah, dude, Nicky T's gonna be watching this review, and he's like, we like executive produce each other's podcasts. So like, I watch his that he does with Kurt, and then he watches mine, and then we help out with the D-Gens and the NASCAR one that we have. Which last night was fun too because we had the D-Gens. I think you guys had to get up to losers.
Well, I did. You were.
Yeah, I was just packing up my apartment.
You're fucking moving. Where are you moving to?
So I'm staying. My house will still be in Nashville, but I'm going to the Czech Republic for a month to film a TV show called. Well, I can't actually say what it's called, but I'll tell you afterwards. You know what I mean? These TV shows, like they think so many people. In fact, I'm going to take that back because I say they think so many people will be interested, but actually, I looked up my character name online, and there's like all these Reddit threads of like, which actor do you think is going to be cast?
Oh, so you got a big role.
I mean, it's
on Amazon, isn't it? The show, Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, and fuck, I'm like, how much can I say about it? Fuck it. So the series is based on novels. And the character is in the novels, but he's just being introduced in this season, which is season 3. But in the novels, he's quite a big character. So I don't know. I've only got a little bit right now. I don't know. We'll see. But I think throughout the next few seasons, he kind of like,
finds his feet.
Well, he grows as a character, yeah, because, I mean, if they're basing it on the novels, he's like quite an integral part of the story.
Yeah, but then you have like Game of Thrones kind of varies from the novels.
Yeah.
Like there's certain shows where the adaptation, the visual adaptation isn't always what the book has. But I'm hoping for you, dude. You're the main fucking star.
We'll see, man, because it's
great.
It's the one annoying thing is that it's in Prague, so I'm like, if it was anywhere in the States, I could just get back here if I needed to. But like,
But perks of the job, like getting to live in Czech Republic, like it's a really cool part of Europe.
Is Prague nice? Is that a cool?
Prague's beautiful, yeah. It's like it's a lot of people's favorite city in Europe.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like it's got all the culture of like Paris and Milan and all those Germany and
Really nice
Belgium
river
and
bed,
stuff.
like river that runs right through the city centre, and architecture is really cool. And also, it's like 50 cents for like a pint of beer.
Oh, so it's a party.
Oh, yeah.
So Prague, what city in Europe parties the hardest? Because I've always heard like Barcelona and Madrid. I've heard that Spain takes the cake for that.
Spain's a good time. I would say Berlin. So like
Berlin, they get weird as well.
It's really weird.
They
It's
get
like
weird.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's a big like unique place. So we went. It's a very big like rave scene. So a lot of like ecstasy or whatever you want to take. But there's
There's a
also
lot of like the unce,
yeah,
unce,
yeah,
like boom,
yeah.
boom, room
and kind of
shit.
weird shit.
Yeah.
But like they party 24 hours a day. Like the clubs just go on for like day parties and stuff.
Oh, they don't close.
And they're old like abandoned like power stations and stuff. It's really cool, but it's hard. They're all hard to get into. But there's also clubs that I walked into a place called Kit Kat at the time. And it was me and two of my friends.
I wonder what this is going to be.
No,
Place called Kit Kat.
And I hand over my ID. I know it's fucking obvious at the time what was going. And I hand over my ID, and they take your phone off you. You put it in a sealed bag and put it behind like the desk. So we're stood there, and I give my phone in, and I'm like, right, that's it. A guy with a fucking gimp mask walks in past me, and I'm like,
Whoa.
I'm like, all right, maybe it's like a bachelor party or something. The next thing we all get fucked up and we're partying and doing all that like weird shit that I actually don't like, but I was just there. Yeah, techno. And I turn around, I lose my friends, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I like kind of start wandering the depths of this like old abandoned like place.
Oh, so it's like multiple rooms
Yeah,
and shit.
there's people fucking everywhere. There's like people doing like
no.
serious. I get doing recreational party drugs, but like they're like weird shit. Like, and I'm stood there and I start having like a panic attack, and I'm like, and where's my friends? And I look over in the far corner, my mates get shirt off, just like fucking party boying on the podium, and I'm like, right, I think it's time to go.
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat.
Oh, yeah, Berlin's nuts because that was where the wall was in Germany. So like half of it was on the European side, half of it was on like the Russian USSR, communist side. So you got like so much rebellion on the communist side for people who weren't allowed to party. So they'd build like underground raves.
They're still coming out of like their party scene because it was the underground, and the underground is always wilder than mainstream.
So it's rebellious, and they still have that. And now it's like known for that. That's like where you go for like mad techno, crazy, fetish clubs and like fucking. You get people. When I was there was I went to a similar place, and we were I was working out there. I was working with this. It was like in between acting jobs, and I was working at this tech firm that they paid me to do basically nothing. And one of the things I had to do was go speak at this conference in Germany, and they were like, "You're an actor, right? Can you speak for us?" Because I'm in an office with all these like really smart but really socially awkward people. I was like, "Sure." So they flew me to Germany, and me and one of the guys were like going to all those clubs similar to you, and we went in one of them, and there's this woman who was hanging from like a roof podium. Like the roof was super high because it was a big warehouse, but a big steel beam and then this big wooden platform. And she was hanging on it through hooks through her skin.
Oh,
and she was like spinning. Yeah, she was like spinning like a fucking Thumbelina.
That's fucked up.
And they were through her skin. But that was like part of her act.
That's what she does, yeah.
Yeah, and there's fire, people, breathing fire, and like women with heels like this high, like with a guy on a leash, and like it just
that reminds
a guy
shit.
on a leash.
Oh yeah,
Mad
it's
shit,
fucking
yeah.
weird. Like to get into Berlin clubs, a lot of the time it's like you have to wear like all black. You have to like have a kind of edgy look. It's like a weird vibe.
You can't go with your Hollister shirt and your fucking chinos.
You get like a jean shirt or something.
So Berlin is wilder than Amsterdam.
Oh well, there's another big
Because
party
Amsterdam,
town.
speaking as an American who's never been out of the country, all I hear about is Amsterdam, red light district, drugs, red light district, drugs.
If you're a big smoker, Amsterdam's really cool. But like I've just heard a lot of stories. Like even my friends who are like big smokers and they take mushrooms and space cakes, whatever you want to call them, and like they've all got like crazy experiences just from like they'll go there and because it's legal. They're like, oh yeah, we'll take the strongest space cake because we like smoke a lot, and like they have like serious like fucking delusional trips and stuff. And like one of my friends, he was with his girlfriend. I'm not going to name him, but they'd never really smoked or anything before, and they were like, let's just try a space cake, and they were like, they got it, and they thought like people were trying to kill them and stuff. They were just having a really bad time, He was getting water in the hotel, and he kept trying to fill up the glass, and he was like, like. He thought the glass was so full, and apparently he walked through, and his girlfriend was like, "Dude, relax. There was only like that much water in the glass," but he thought it was so full, and he was trying not to spill it. And I was like, that just sounds a horrible time. But if you don't overdo it, then I'm sure it's a great time.
So if I were to leave the country, because you guys have been to other countries, have you guys done Canada?
I've never done Canada.
Nah, I was 1 year old. I think I was in Canada.
Okay, but you've done Mexico.
Yeah.
So if I'm leaving the country for the first time, where do I got to go?
Definitely Europe, I think. It's a good, because a lot of people are still speak English. Well, I don't know if you would say the same thing, but I think, like it's safe for the most, every city's got its, rough areas and stuff, but it's safe, you can travel cheap, it's, like, super cultural, but it's also not so different, whereas, like, because if you do, I've never been, but if you were to, I don't know, go to China for the first time out of your country, you'd be like, the rest of the world is mental.
Yeah,
at least they smoke over there. You fit in there. They smoke like chimneys.
Baby steps, baby steps.
Top 3 countries for Matt Burrill to visit in Europe.
Spain's got to be one, right? Yeah. Scotland.
Oh.
Why was that not number 1?
Well, because Spain's got great food and better weather.
Spain is Spain, yeah.
Better women, better weather, better food, better.
Hey, wait, don't talk about my mother like that.
No, she's one of the few gems. Don't worry. Honestly,
Scotland, Spain,
Greece, maybe.
Greece I've never been to Greece, but it's beautiful.
I've had a lot of friends go to Greece recently, and
Greece
they're
is
like, dude,
nuts,
they
man.
do it different there.
Yeah.
Like Greece, like the cities in Greece. 'Cause I have family. My cousin is on my aunt's. My uncle, he passed away when I was young, but they were from Cyprus. So, like, the island that the Turks just constantly invaded and shit. There seems to be, like, certain countries in Europe that just kind of fuck things up. Like,
Britain
just
being
fuck
one
shit
of
up.
them.
Yes, Britain, the Turks, the Russians.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there just seem to be those. And obviously, we do our fair share over here in the States, going to places, but whatever. But I've always heard that Greece is just awesome.
One other place I would... You like Italian food? Being from New York, I guess,
bro,
you love
yeah.
it. Like the Amalfi Coast is really, really, really nice.
Where's the Amalfi Coast?
It's I can't remember if it's on the west coast of Italy. I think it's like...
I think you're right.
Yeah.
West Coast Mediterranean.
I think, but it's like... It's so, like, cliff edge villages, right on the water, fresh seafood, Italian food. It's just really cool. Like, Portofino gets a really good name, Positano, all these places. They're just so picturesque. It's like little painted houses on a cliff, and they're just really, really unique places.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I do.
That's
Erin. You guys know her.
Oh, yeah,
Erin,
of course,
yeah.
So and Erin's been, but she's been.
She told me she was single. No, I'm kidding.
God damn it! I mean, I feel like every girl's gonna tell you that they're single when they meet you, Callum. That just fucking happens, brother.
I know.
I'm just kidding. I didn't never ever put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah, it's a recent thing. It's
Okay,
recently,
yeah, cool.
but she's going over to London soon for the Luke Combs or no the
Titans game. Yeah, she told me that too.
Oh, yeah.
So she's going over for that. I don't think I'm gonna go to that, but she's been saying like we're gonna get you traveled a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on trying to go out and with her or wherever,
Well, definitely those places would be great with her. Italy and Greece and like very romantic, but also I mean like just as a new place, like Greece is. I'm trying to think. It's kind of like it's almost like Italian Spanish culture, but it just seems to be like a little bit further out. It seems to be like a little bit more like just heaven.
Well, it's like a 6-hour flight from Scotland to get to Greece, somewhere in Greece, and then like so that's 2 hours 2 hours more, and I could be in Nashville flying from London.
Wow.
So you're pretty far east, and it's down in a little pocket in the Mediterranean that's just like really a slice of heaven, as you said.
Yeah. Just beautiful.
Yeah. Do the French suck as much as everybody makes them out to be? I've always heard that the French are just like with my cousins. Like I told you about Kaylee and Reese. They were in Scotland, and then they got sent to. My uncle got sent to France, and they were in France for I think a couple months, and then they were like, we don't like these people are not nice. Like they're not like the Scottish. Like they're just the French.
Do you know where they were?
They were just out. They were around Paris, like around that area.
So my mum lives in France, and I thought the same thing. I'd been there a couple of times, but when she moved over, I was like, oh, are you just gonna? All your neighbors gonna be like, the fucking English move next door. I do not want to see
That's
them.
pretty good, actually. Can you do that again? Zoom in.
It goes Indian. I'm like,
Oh, very
goes
good.
Jamaican. But so she lives down in the south of France, and like everyone is just very normal, very sound, very cool, welcoming. They have they live in a village, and there's farms, and the neighbors will give them fresh bread, fresh meat, and they have chickens on the farm, so they give their neighbors eggs. So it's like very wholesome. You go up to Paris, and they fucking hate you. Like there's no being a waiter in Paris is just like it's just a normal job, whereas for us it's kind of like it's like it's students, maybe immigrants. It's almost like people see it as like a lower value job.
Yeah.
In France.
In the US,
All right.
or in the UK, it's kind of like a student job. It's what students do, and then you're almost expected. Like if you're an adult, you're like, right, well, you got to try and get into management and stuff. Over in France, it's just like a career job. It's just a normal job, but they get paid a little bit more, so they don't work for tips. So you go in and they're like, fucking English. Yes. And you're like, hi there, can I please? Don't even try and speak French. You're like, je voudrais. And they're like, it's okay, I can speak English. And they're just like impatient. They'll throw your food down in front of you. And like, because they don't need a tip. They don't want it. You're in their country. We would rather you weren't. But you know what I mean? So it's like, Paris is like, they can be really harsh to the English and Americans.
I don't think they really mean it either. I found that with kind of German people too. I don't think they mean it. I just think it's part of their culture. It's just like they're very like to the point people. They get a job done, and like whether I know English is obviously their second language, but like I feel like sometimes they're just ignorant, and they don't mean it. Like I went to. When I was in college here, there was a lot of international students from Germany, and they were all like my good friends, but sometimes you're like, you fucking asshole. Like in my head, like just the way he would like dismiss you a little bit. And I'm like, all right. But I've worked with French people in an internship when I was working in Europe, and they were all nice people, but there's an air about them, that they don't even know. I think they've got sometimes.
Is it like an elitist thing, you think, that's just naturally in their complex? Because Napoleon was French, right?
Right, yeah.
So could it be
Very
just the
proud.
Napoleon, like Genghis Khan fucked everything, like Napoleon just, little Lord Farquaad just fucked everything, and now everybody's elitist?
Little Cole Capshaw. He looks like Cole Capshaw.
Who does Napoleon? Who does?
No, Lord Farquaad.
He does. Farquaad's got. Cole's got some size, but I get what you're saying. Like the hair.
Yeah.
It looks like him. And the chin. Yeah, it looks like Farquaad. Yeah.
So you know what's great? There's a TV show. It's good to watch with your girlfriend. It's called Emily in Paris.
Great
and it's
show.
about this girl that goes across to Paris because she's
From
got
America.
an internship and she's in fashion and she's going to go to the Paris. Oh, no, not fashion, marketing. And she's going to the Paris offices for like 3 months or whatever. And she plays the super stereotypical American, and all the French play the super stereotypical French. And all the French people hated the show, but everyone that's been to France was like, yeah, that's exactly what
So
French
true.
people are like.
Hit it on the head.
And Emily, who was the American, was like very typical American. It's so funny. Like she gets over there and she's like, it's like their first meeting and they're around the table. And she's like, hi, I just wanted to let y'all know that I am so grateful to be here. And this guy goes, excuse me, why are you shouting at us? It's just like, that typical like Americans are loud, French are.
Yeah.
But then it's like, the French are like so stereotypical French, like they're all smoking and having affairs and shit like that. And so all the French got really offended by it. And I'm like, I'm going to be honest, that is what you guys are like. For the most part, obviously there's, not everyone's the same, but the stereotypical French person.
How many accents can you do? So you're an international actor, so like you can do the different accents in Europe.
Should I?
No, because you like can you do like a southern like country boy, like the joke, like we joke about the southern folks.
So when
you
I
have
was
to have a country accent.
when I was on
now.
Monarch, I played a guy called Wade Stellings, and I was like, I was from Johnson City, Texas, and I'm trying to think. I can't remember many of my lines, but for the most part, I had this crazy accent, and I was just doing that for the whole time.
Whoa,
Yeah,
That's cool.
Can you do like a New York, like bada bing, like the
New York.
hey, I'm walking here,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that shit.
yeah.
Fuck off.
Coffee. God, I can't do it.
I mean, that's pretty good. You had it close. The French, you nailed that French.
Yeah, again, I think they'd be super offended if they heard me do that.
Callum
No,
cancelled after a French accent.
I thought you nailed it pretty close. Like when
I
you were
don't know.
talking like the monsieur.
I don't know if I could do like a part, but yeah. So I do like obviously Scottish, and then I do RP, which is like the Queen's English.
What is that?
So I do like that's like fuck's sake, no, I'm probably
Hello,
gonna get this
governor.
hard. Yeah,
Is that shit?
no, that's like London,
Cockney.
like, Cockney. Yeah, the Queen's English is like they call it received pronunciation, so it's very posh, and And if you were listening to BBC News, this is how the newscaster would speak.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. You know,
Yeah,
it's like very posh.
sounds like an English soccer announcer.
Exactly.
Like a soccer
yeah.
broadcaster,
Yeah.
like Sherlock Holmes shit.
It's kind of like old school. It's kind of like dying out now. And it's what's weird is like, see the posh London accents are getting Americanized now.
They are?
So they're like, oh, can I have a glass of water? And it's like they've started softening their T's, and like there's now this like transatlantic
Interesting.
like posh. It's almost like a new age millennial like. Oh, I work in London and Los Angeles, and they'll say like, golly gosh, but they'll also say like, oh, so funny. It's like there's this crossover accent happening.
That's interesting because it is such like a war. There's not like right now. It's just the age of everything just evolving, and there's just folks from everywhere living everywhere. You know, like there's Americans living in fucking China and Russia, and
Totally.
there's Scottish folks living in Nashville. Like it's all over the place.
We do. We've started to like. I mean, we're definitely, you can tell that we're Scottish, but we've definitely started kind of Americanizing a lot of the stuff that we say. You might not be able to hear it, but when we go back home, our friends are like, what the fuck are you? How the fuck? Why are you speaking like that, you dick?
I know.
Yeah,
Well, people make fun of, like, I remember, like, I played a big show back in December, and I did, like, a homecoming gig in Scotland,
yeah.
and Callum was there, and he was like, I'm going to come along. So he drove, like, the 2 hours from where he's at to my side of the country, and I was like, I'm going to get you up there. So we got up and sang together one of the songs we wrote, and it was sold out. It was really cool. And then like we got off stage and we were talking to people after it, and people were like making fun of our accents and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just because we came out here to do something a little bit different, it helps for you guys to understand if we twang it up a little bit from time to time.
Yeah.
But it's a big thing. Like accents, people in Scotland are really protective over like their Scottish accent. I did a TikTok recently, and it was like an accent challenge, and it like was the only thing that was like ever blown up for my TikTok. I'll be honest, non-musical, of course, and it was me like doing a word in English. Like, this is a word. How would we say it in Scottish? So like, I don't know. An example was like garage. We say garage. Like,
Garage?
Garage. Yeah, and
It's like a D or a T or something.
Garage. We roll our R's, and I did that, and like people were just commenting. It's like, I don't know, I got like 100,000 views, and there's people just commenting on it, going like, "You're an absolute fanny." Like, just like definitely went to a private school.
All these Scottish guys were like fucking ragging on him.
I know.
He was clapping back though. He was going,
I was like,
fuck
"Fuck you." I was like, I don't take shit.
He was like, enjoy life and fucking govern, you prick.
What are like the high class things to do in Scotland? Like, is it like St. Andrews? Like, if you go to St. Andrews every year, you're like one of them hoity toity, like the Masters here.
Yeah, it's pretty posh up there. Really beautiful. A lot of nice golf. You go into like a little bit more north, you can go and see stags and hunt stags, and
stags are like just bigger deer,
big
right?
bucks. Yeah, like 10 point.
You ever killed a stag?
I've never killed a stag. No,
I've not. I've only done like grouse and rabbit and hare and stuff like that. But I'd love to
rabbit.
shoot. Well, hare, I guess. I just thought.
So are they like bigger rabbits?
Big
they're
rabbits,
wild rabbits. Yeah,
Wild big rabbits, like jackalope kind of things.
I guess, yeah. Is that the same thing? Pheasant's big in Scotland as well.
Yeah,
pheasant's big,
Sure,
like
pheasant,
birds.
you can shoot
grouse.
pigeons as well.
Pigeons, yeah.
You can eat. A lot of people eat pigeon and crow pie. Like, they'll make a pie.
Make a pie out of pigeons.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's kind of like what are those birds?
We're feral.
What are those?
Feral, yes. We've been using that.
It's kind of
term.
like quail, pigeon.
Yeah.
Have you had
Okay.
quail?
Yeah.
Like quail breast. It's kind of like darker.
Well, I know about pigeons because we have them in New York. Our pigeons are just very angry. There's like city pigeons.
Yeah.
So like you'll be in like a parking garage and you'll just hear pigeons just charging each other, like just
Yeah.
Oh,
chaos.
God.
Because they're like New York, they pick up on the culture.
Yeah,
in New York, they're fucking angry.
when you rent an apartment in New York, your landlord's a pigeon.
Oh God.
Honestly, yeah. Dude, they're fucking wild. So getting into the podcast, what kind of made you guys want to do a podcast? I think the name Talkin Scotch is fucking awesome. I think you guys drinking scotch on it and doing your thing together and being that you guys are such good friends and fellow countrymen. It's really cool, and I've enjoyed listening to it so far.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. I mean, I think for us it was like content's everything, as you know, at the moment.
Yeah.
And we were like, we need to get some more stuff out there. People, when we hang out in a bar, when people talk to us, some people laugh and we have a good time and we like to drink. So we were like, why don't we put this hand in hand together, bring on the people that we think deserve a platform to tell their story, our friends in music, our friends in acting, our friends from just all walks of life, bring them on, chit chat, give them a platform to promote their stuff, and just hang out and have a good time. Like we had one of our buddies recently come on. He was a whiskey expert, and that was the first one we actually just did Scotch whiskey. So we had 4 different bottles, and he was like fucking, you know, doing the whole jazz, like tasting it and describing all the notes. And me and Callum are like, yes. I'm like, just tasted the same to me, I'll be honest. But like we went through 4 whiskeys and, you know, really informative pieces. But then we also have like John Haywood come on, and we were at a number 1 party just before it, so we got fucking slammed at the open bar.
That episode just came out today, and we were just I was, when I was editing it, I was just like shaking my head. We're just all so sloshed.
I'm slurring my words and everything, but you know, someone's got to do it from time to time.
Yeah, dude, open bars are wild.
Yeah, and that's part of the podcast, you know. Like most of the things, like we typically write sober, or we might only have 1 or 2 beers. Like we actually are sober most of the time during the day. So like to have like a fun podcast, if anything, you know, even if it never made any money, which, you know, already we've got, you know, a couple of sponsorship opportunities and stuff like that, which is great.
It's huge.
But you know, even if it never made any money, it's kind of got to the point where it's like part of the week that I'm looking forward to is just hanging out, drinking whiskey, and having like a guest on and shooting the shit. And you know, we watched the first one together, and we were like, right, what can we do better? And then we watched the second one together, changed some camera angles, changed some lighting, and you know, we're just like kind of learning the whole thing. And now that we've got the podcast kind of rolling, now we're looking at other content things, and you know, doing something similar to yourself, where, you know, you start leaning into merch, live shows, tours, you know, and other types of content that aren't like the long form podcast. But it's just a jumping off point, really, for us. You know, it's just like the start of a brand, kind of. Yeah. So, and you know, we're both in Nashville, Scottish guys, like a drink in music. So it's like, it's the perfect, you know.
Yeah, and what's great about what you guys are doing, like, you guys can have on any kind of guest, which is nice. You're not pigeonholed into something, like, because it's, you have folks on, some of them you drink scotch with, some of them maybe you have a cigar with and you do a remote at like a cigar lounge. Maybe you do this, maybe you do that. You can content from while you're out in Prague. You can content from wherever. Like, you guys can do so much with it. So I'm very excited to see where it all goes and stuff.
We did have one sober friend come on, a musician called Josh Rennie Hines, and so we just drank Liquid Death for like that podcast.
If I ever come on y'all's, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be doing that and probably 420ing a little bit before.
Oh yeah,
the
that's okay with us.
Because we've had a few of those. So you guys, some Nashville questions. Are you guys big goers to the pub? Is the pub like? Do you guys like the pub? Because the pub's the English place down the road here.
It's okay. It's okay.
Or do you think it's like, it'd be like me going to a Western thing in fucking England or something?
Yeah.
It's kind of okay like that.
Yeah.
The food's okay. I mean, if you're a little bit hungover, or you're just fancy a little bit of food that's quite like home, like they do bangers and mash, or they do like fish and chips.
But it still doesn't taste like it does
not
back home.
No. Have you guys found like authentic like Scottish English stuff in the States?
I found one in Atlanta, owned by Irish people, and I walked in, it smelled like Stovies.
Oh, I love
and
that.
I was like, Stovies is like, you know how you guys have corned beef hash?
Yeah.
We have this plate, it's called Stovies, and it's like for like a cold day, and it's basically corned beef, chopped onions, and mashed potato, and it's all like
delicious. Yeah.
And you smash some like HP brown sauce,
or gravy
maybe,
or something,
gravy on it, and it's like proper home style cooking. Fills you up, warms you up, you know, that. And so I walked into this place in Atlanta, and I just went to watch a rugby game, because typically you have to go to like the Scottish, Irish, English bars to see rugby over here, and immediately smelled like Stovies. Ordered a plate, and it was just like exactly like you get it back home, but like old school Irish owners. So like, you know, I don't think there's probably anyone in the pub who's actually British.
No, the place in Nashville that I've got a lot of cred with, like I used to gig there. It's an Irish bar called the Lost Paddy, off of like Nolensville, and it's like, it's in a random location. It's like next to like a shitty hotel, off next to a Waffle House, but the food they do is tremendous, like really good.
Yeah,
that's probably the closest. Apart from that, there's a place in the MGM Grand Hotel in Vegas, or no, it's in New York, which is just across the street, and it's an Irish bar. And I was there for 10 days, and I ate there every day for lunch, and it was good. Like great Guinness, like great food, fish and chips,
Do you like Guinness?
I liked Guinness a lot, so I had to get sober about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask how
but
long.
I used to. There was a went to college in New Jersey, and we had at our college radio station. We had we had like a bunch of like local sponsors. So our studio was called the Killarney's Public House Studios, and it was a guy named Seamus, and I think it was Bill. I think it was Seamus and Billy, Seamus Farrell, and Off the Boat Irish. And their big thing was that any bartender that they would hire, they would either bring somebody in or they would take them out to Ireland with them to teach them how to properly pour a Guinness.
Yeah.
Badass.
And so I did lots of car bombs. I did drank lots of Guinness. They had drinks like called the Blarney Stone and this and that. And so I definitely enjoyed lots of good St. Patty's days up there back in the day. But Guinness was like one of my favorites. Yeah, that's my sobriety day. Yeah, so it's coming up. Yeah, the 30th will be, which I wasn't thinking at the time when I got this tattoo that it looks like a Holocaust tattoo, which is kind of but especially being from New York, a little bit questionable. But it was Mike Stoll. Have you met him before? So Mike, we did Raise Rowdy summer camp during COVID, where all of us would go to festivals, but instead of doing a festival, like, why don't we invite like 40, 50 people over to somebody's big backyard and we set up tents and pay writers from Nashville to come up and sing, and we all hang out, partake in recreational activities and drink or whatever. And Mike was doing these tattoos, so I just paid $50 and had him do that. And so Nicky T got a bunch of people got Raised Rowdy on their ass and all that. I might be there soon as a co-owner, but not quite yet. But yeah, Guinness I enjoyed very much. Yeah. Guinness was always my favorite.
That's if we ever sometimes we've done a podcast and we just walked, because it's 2-minute walk from here.
Yeah.
So we'll walk over and get a Guinness. But yeah, that Lost Paddy's good. I forgot about that place.
Yeah, we watched the World Cup final there. That was a loose night. We'd partied at Losers and closed the Losers down, and then that was a Friday, and then the game was on the Saturday, but the game was at 8 a.m. for the World Cup final, and the bar opened up. So we showed up like still drunk, and my boss and the publisher I work at, he's like, "Hey man, are you watching the game?" And I'm like, "Yeah," thinking he wouldn't come. He shows up and I've got like double part, 2 Guinness and a Jameson shot, like fucking all over the place. That got out of control. That was so silly.
Oh man, yeah. And then you were playing at Losers that afternoon.
Oh yeah, I had to do that.
and I got up on stage to play a song and I went, and nothing came out, no voice, and I was like, "I'm gonna go back off the stage. Everybody give up for Chris Andreucci." And I kicked over his beer. It was just very, very loose. I
probably didn't need any more beer, to be honest.
Oh man, that was a mental weekend.
What have been like your favorite things about living in America now? And you guys are on the visa thing, right?
You're on a green card.
I've got a green card.
Okay.
I'm on a musician visa, so I've got another year or so here, and then I'll be in the renewal process. Okay. Things I love about America, I love the South in terms of how people are very accommodative and nice. I think I've been welcomed with open arms. I've never felt out of place, or that people, of course, everywhere you go, some people are going to be like, "Oh, who the fuck's this weird foreign guy?" But like once you get over that part, like, people have been nice to me. I love Nashville. I love the creative hub. And I just love it how I get it. I understand now why people don't have a passport, because you don't technically need one. Like, you can go to beaches, you can go to mountains, you can go to get French culture down in like Louisiana and New Orleans. You can go to all these different parts of America and get a taste of 4 seasons and culture. Yep. So I understand that. I think that's one cool thing for me, is you can jump in a car and drive 8 hours and you're in like Destin, Florida, or you're in PCB or whatever. I think just that's all being under one roof, one umbrella, is really cool. So I love it here, man. I'll be honest.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I love the optimism in the States. It's like the go-to is optimism, whereas like the go-to is pessimism back home. So it's just like that. And I always grew up kind of like a little bit more optimistic for, I want to try and, do acting and music and stuff like that. And back home, it's like people aren't being like haters, or like they're not trying, but everything's like a bit like, "Oh, why would you think that you're special enough to do that? Or why do you even think that's possible?" Whereas in America, if you say like, "Oh, I want to go be anything," people say, "Well, you're in the land of opportunity and you can do anything or be anything you want to be." And I love that about the States. I went to Virginia to visit a family friend when I was like 12-year-old. And I saw that. I could, even just at 12, I could kind of see how like everyone's kind of together and like a little bit more kind of optimistic and driven to try and be better. And that's hard sometimes because I know a lot of Americans feel that pressure of like, if you're not trying to be like a billionaire every day, then you're not doing it. But you know what I mean? It's like, at least if you are trying to do something in America, everyone gets behind you and they push you. And like, we've had that with the podcast, even like we start it, and before there's even an episode out, we're getting all these opportunities to go on other podcasts or play shows. And, it's just like, I just feel like the opportunity here is just right now, the opportunity to work and to progress in life is still better than anywhere else that I've seen. You can still, the internet's a thing. You could go to Greece and start a podcast, but I just, it's not like if we were doing a podcast in Greece, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be playing rounds last night. We wouldn't be doing, So it's just, I feel like, it sounds very typical, but the land of opportunity is such a true thing. And I just feel like America's like that place where if you want to go and grind in the States,
Freedom. Mel Gibson.
Mel fucking
freedom,
Gibson for freedom.
And the freedom, of course.
Mel fucking Gibson, freedom, the Patriot, and Braveheart. We love him dearly.
R.I.P. Granddad.
R.I.P. Granddad.
He was my cousin.
Who's your cousin? Does that make us related?
So for you guys, what do you have on tap for the rest of this year? So we're getting to the summer months of 2023. It's when it gets the busy season in Nashville. Everything gets clusterfucked. We're coming up on CMA Fest. What do you guys got on tap for as we get into the summer? I know you're going to Prague. What do you got going on?
I got a new single, June 16th.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited. I wrote that with Kylie Hughes, and June 16th. It's called To the Moon and Back, so if you haven't done so, pre-save.
Hell yeah.
But and then I've got another single coming on like a month later, around July 21st or 24th as well. And then you know where to find me. Full band at Losers, 10 to 2, Monday through Wednesday. So that's my plan.
Oh yeah, Prague, and then I'll get back in June, and I think I put out a song earlier when I was completely independent, took on a management team recently, so we're now just kind of coming up with a good, solid, structured game plan instead of like what I was doing before, which was like just fucking winging it. And just, So I think we're going to kind of put together a good kind of list of demos and stuff like that and take them around and kind of approach it maybe a little bit slower than I was planning to. I was planning to just go like song every 4 weeks. Now I think we're kind of restructuring it, so hopefully by kind of midsummer we'll have like a plan and just be ready to go with that. And then I'm sure there will be more acting opportunities, and we'll play more shows together, and just crack on, really. Just keep it going and do fucking many more podcast episodes.
I love it.
I feel like I'm in Shrek 7 right now, bro. It feels
It's
good.
like 8D, It's like there's like fucking. Remember that thing in Disney World, and it's like you go there at Shrek 5D or something. He's like a donkey like talks and he gets spit coming at your face and stuff. Got a fucking umbrella.
Yeah. Better Scottish accent, Shrek or Fat Bastard from Austin Powers?
Shrek.
Oh yeah, probably Shrek.
Because Fat Bastard to me was like the big, like Mike Myers as the big guy.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
That's same guy. Mike Myers does Shrek's voice.
Oh, he does do Shrek?
Yeah.
I didn't realize he did both.
Yeah.
Okay, then it makes sense. Shrek is Fat Bastard.
Shrek is Fat Bastard.
You
Fat
missed the
Bastard
boat
is
there.
Shrek.
You could have had a great career all based off your Scottish accent.
I know. Well, it's funny. There was I once did this video game where like they did like a 3D print. So I went in this booth and there's like 100 DSLR cameras all around me.
You were
It's like a character in a video game.
You were a character in a video game?
Yeah. So it's Forza 4 for the Xbox. And so it's this Scottish guy, and it's like one of the challenges, he comes across this Scottish guy as a street racer or whatever, and they've got to beat him to get to the next level or whatever. And so they did like a 3D print of my body with all these cameras, and I was like, oh, is that it? Like when am I doing the voice for it? And they were like, oh, we don't need the voice, don't worry. So they picked another Scottish guy to do my voice. And it turns out that the guy that they picked is just like the husband of the casting director. And I was like, fuck you. So they used my body, face, like total likeness. And they gave me this like worse voice, but it was also
Was that
still
really like
Scottish.
camp, like hello?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, if you think you're going to beat me, you're going to. And I was
like a little douchebag.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
you sound like a prick.
And I was like, for fuck's sake.
Well, at least you know you're hot. I mean, you got the eye candy thing.
I would have gone on there and be like, if you think you're going to beat me, pal,
Fuck off.
go train spotting.
Yeah.
Have you seen Train Spotting?
I have not. What is that?
Mate, that's so that's set
Iconic.
set in Edinburgh, and it's like one of the best Scottish films of all time. And it's about these 4 guys that get addicted to heroin, and it's like fucking dark but hilarious and like crazy. You should watch it. But it's set in Edinburgh, and it's like everyone thinks Edinburgh when they go there. There's in the middle of the city. There's a castle at the top that you can see from everywhere. There's a big road, a big cobbled road that goes down. It's a mile long. It's called the Royal Mile. And so castle at the top. At the bottom, there's a palace where the Queen's, or I guess now the King, stays when they're in Edinburgh. And then right beside that, there's a big inactive volcano, and it's just like beautiful. It's hilly, it's streety. So everyone thinks it's like a super romantic place out of some kind of novel, which it does. There are parts of it that are like that, but it's like any other city, and there's crime, there's violence, there's poverty, and Train Spotting highlights that side of it.
Yeah.
It's like the scum.
Like
of Edinburgh.
like the Peaky Blinders kind of shit, where it shows
Yeah.
like crime. But I know that was set way back in the day.
I mean, that's more like organized crime. These guys are just like more so just like your
Looking for
typical,
trouble, you know?
Yeah, typical kind of young scum.
But
Yeah, brilliant.
it highlights a lot of like the drug issues we have in Scotland. So Scotland has the highest drug deaths in the whole of Europe. Like we've got
Really?
a crazy fucked up situation over there. Like growing up, like you saw a lot of like cocaine and stuff and a lot of weed. Like nothing. We don't really have a pharmaceutical issue, but like more than ever is like heroin and like really heavy drugs.
like people putting fentanyl and shit. And all
I
that,
don't
or
think
not
we've got a
quite?
fentanyl issue. I don't
No,
think we
they
do.
just go straight to heroin. I think.
Jeez.
Just loads of overdose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm trying to think. Where was the heroin place in the States when that was big?
Oh, Flint. Was it Flint?
Was it Flint? That was
Flint. I mean, L.A. had a bunch of it. Like
Yeah.
it was big in the sex, drugs, and rock and roll stuff. I mean, it's everywhere. You can find heroin in Nashville if you're looking for it. I don't condone it, but
Right.
I've never used it.
You got that number?
I stopped at booze. I couldn't handle drinking, so I just stick to marijuana now.
Yeah,
marijuana,
so-
and nicotine.
Yeah, I mean it's a good combination.
Say
Yeah.
nicotine or nicotine?
Well, nicotine and nicotine. Nicotine.
It's cool that you can still be productive when you're smoking weed because I like weed. I still prefer like a drink, but I've enjoyed weed in the past, but I just get really unproductive. And like even if I smoke at night, the next morning I'm still a little bit kind of lazy, and I just like.
Depends where you're getting it from. You been to Colorado yet?
See, I've heard this, but every time I've smoked weed, I've had like the LA, the legal stuff where they're like, this one's an upper, this one's a down, and I still kind of get the same. Yeah.
My favorite weed has come from the state of New York.
Oh yeah. Is it legal?
Legal there.
Every state in the Northeast, I think, is legal right now. So
Wow.
New York City just smells like weed. You go to New York City right now, it's just there's a cloud, like how there's like a cloud over like China or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
There's
smog.
there's a cloud over New York, and it is just marijuana
Well,
smoke.
that's great because it used to smell like garbage. So.
Yeah, now it smells like garbage and weed. It's especially in the summer months, it's gonna be horrible.
Oh, when that
'Cause
heats up.
I grew up in the suburbs. I grew up only going to the city for like school field trips, Yankees games, like
Yeah.
theater things, like shit like that. But the city now, apparently, it's just weed. It's like San Francisco. It's just
Shit.
weed everywhere.
Damn.
The only place I've felt unsafe in America was San Francisco.
I've never been there, but I hear it's a shithole.
Yeah. I've
So,
never
like,
been.
I understand, like, poverty is an issue and that's everywhere, but it's, like, a lot of homeless people. And, like, I remember I was there for one night before I flew back home. So I was staying at, like, the Hilton at one of the main squares. And I was like, it was 8 o'clock. I was like, I'm going to go and have a Chinese food. And then I'm going to walk round to the Irish bar. And I walk, it was only, like, 2 blocks. And I get, like, halfway towards the Asian restaurant. And all of a sudden, I start to get sketched out, and like people are like tweaking in like the doorways next to me, and I'm like, I know I don't carry a gun or a knife or anything, but like, I was like, yeah. So I called an Uber, and the guy was like, dude, it's like 500 yards up the street, and I'm like, you just fucking take me.
Yeah. I mean, that's LA as well. Have you been to LA?
I've only been to San Diego. That's the only
San
place.
Diego's quite cool.
I
like San Diego, yeah.
San Diego's beautiful. I
Yeah.
haven't done LA.
I mean, yeah, at this point, I mean, and you've got Orange County in between those two, and Orange County's cool, but once you get into like Hollywood and stuff, and then there's this area called Skid Row.
Yeah.
And we drove through Skid Row, and Uber drivers like making sure his doors were locked and stuff like that. And there was like trash cans on fire. Like the whole street is covered in trash. Like you're driving over trash, and there's just all these people walking around like
Zombies.
shirts off, like just looking. Like, and I'm like, apparently, so Skid Row used to be like iconic. There's like one street or a couple of streets where this all happens. But I drove through Skid Row in 2016. I was like, that's disgusting. I can't believe they're not doing anything because these homeless people have like taken over this part of the town. I went back to LA last year, so 22, and like so many more areas of LA are like that now. And they're not doing anything about it. There's just like homeless people everywhere. It's scary to walk down the street,
I watched a thing on YouTube a while back, and it was talking about Skid Row and the Cecil Hotel. You know that haunted.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Well, that's right on. So the problem is that woman disappeared and got fucked up, or whatever happened to her at the hotel was because you walk out and you're on Skid Row. Yeah. So that hotel is sold as a fake dream, like it's on a really rough patch. But the cops, this is what I read. It's a lawless land, so they just put a roadblock up at the end, start and the end, and then it's like fucking do what you want because we can't come in here and deal with it.
Yeah, it's wild. In Nashville, obviously, we've got our. Did you guys see the Battle of Antioch a few weeks ago or like a month ago? So there's like all those little like homeless villages that get set up. Mm-hmm. So we have one out in Hermitage behind the Valvoline by the Rusty Nail where there's just hundreds of them.
Really? I've not seen that.
In the woods, yeah. So they just set up tents and whatever. And what they'll do, because there's a train that runs from Hermitage, we talked about trains earlier, runs from Hermitage through Donaldson into Nashville. Drops you right off on Broadway. And so they'll take the train right there, go into town, do their thing, and then come back. But they had warned the folks at the homeless place in Antioch, hey, we're gonna clear you out. So it came to the deadline where they were going to do that, and the cops showed up. Homeless people lit everything on fire.
Oh God!
Ryan Nelson sent me a video of this. The mayor, the mayor of Antioch, Ryan Damn Nelson, and he was like, "Dude, it's like a war. Like there's just smoke everywhere." And it was like a month ago, but it's just.
I think I remember hearing that they were like trying to move them, like they were.
And then they were like, "Fuck you, we're not leaving. We're going to burn everything."
Yeah,
going out with a bang,
That's mad. I mean, I always wonder where they go when cities kick them out. Because when I moved back to Austin during COVID, it was like they were everywhere. Under every single bridge, there was like 10 tents, and it was just like, again, it started trash everywhere, and like you couldn't walk from your car in a car park under a bridge to get to a bar because it was just like huge camps. And then they had this vote, which is it's great because Austin's still in Texas. So as liberal as Austin wants to be, Texas is like, nah, this is Texas. We're not having this in one of our cities. This is not fucking Los Angeles. So they basically had a vote, and they overruled like the Austin law or whatever, and they were like, let's clear them out. And I thought it was a great idea because, I mean, you can't have mental people, like drug addicted homeless people running around in your city.
But,
like it just
but
is
where
unsafe.
Where do you put them? This is the thing that like I don't.
You put them in Antioch.
Come here to Nashville. Welcome.
Here's Antioch.
I did wonder where they all went because I'm like, you can't just scoop them up.
Well, you know how all the homeless people got out to California, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the story of what the mayor of Philadelphia did years? It was a long time ago. He put them all on buses.
Just fucking one-way
ticket, sent them out to Cali. Ed Randell.
Well, that's a free country.
Ed Randell did that. He's like, hey, if you want opportunity, we're gonna, because if you're homeless up in the Northeast, you're gonna freeze. Yeah. Like you're homeless in New York in February. You're homeless in California, or Florida. They sent them down to Florida too. There's a lot of them in Dade County down near Miami.
Did you guys see what DeSantis did to the politicians in California?
Oh, he sent homeless people out there, didn't he?
Yeah. So he was saying that, but it was a great move because what he was saying is he needs people to vote so that they can stop like homelessness in Florida and stop like immigrants coming through the border and just coming into Floridian towns, and naturally crime goes up and violence goes up and stuff like that, and all these people in California are like, no, we're not voting for that. You should be more accepting of people in need. So what he did, he rounded them all up and sent them to Martha's Vineyard in California, where all the politicians live. Well, and it's a town of
Martha's Vineyard is actually up in Rhode Island, but it was the person from California that was vacationing in Martha's Vineyard. It was
okay.
the California
right, okay.
Democrats vacation in Martha's Vineyard.
Got
And they
you.
made the thing. So it was like, I'm going to send them to where these people vacation and live and
That's
let
it.
them deal with it on their private time like we're dealing with it in our private time.
That's
so it was
right.
the California people. It was
Okay,
their rich.
okay,
'cause
that makes
Martha's
sense.
Vineyard is bougie.
Right,
Like,
so
bougie,
they sent them up there, and all of a sudden, everyone in Martha's Vineyard were like, "Well, we don't have the resources. You know, crime's going to go up." And he's like, "Well, that's what I've been fucking saying. So if you help me, I can vote on the next one." And it was just so funny, like, you know, it's like, oh, that's someone else's problem while they're sitting in their high.
Yeah.
You know, their high palace over in Martha's
Yeah.
Vineyard, having, you know, the time of their life and not having to deal with it.
Yeah,
and telling other people how to deal with it. You're like, well, what are you going to do if they, you know, if they storm your town?
I mean, like, back to the point of how you said, like, the Philadelphia mayor moved them down to California. Like, I spent a month in Venice back in, like, 2019, and, like, I just wrote songs and smoked weed, and I'd run to Santa Monica and back, which was 10 kilometers every day. So I was, like, living the dream. But, like, I remember, I've got a funny story for you. So some of my friends came to visit, and we were like drinking and having a good time, day drinking, and my buddy's a drummer, and he's like, there's a drum circle tonight on Venice Beach, we should go to it. And I'm like, okay, let's see where the night goes, because it's Venice.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get fucked up and start smoking weed, and I'm like, where's the drum circle? And I'm, well, the only flame burning fire and like 100 people just like smacking out of time bongos. So we like walk over there, and this is the most hippie shit I've ever been to in my life. There was like girls with their tits out and like painted and like hula hoops and shit. And I'm like, this is fucking kind of cool. So we're like taking the bongo and like having a try. And then the next thing, like passing a joint with this guy, and we're sat there, and I'm like, I can smell fucking shit. I'm like, what's going on? I turned around, there was a homeless dude sat next to me, he was just staring at me, and he looked the most dirtiest dude ever. And I turned around to my friend, I was like, dude, let's get the fuck out of here. I actually went and got tested because I shared a joint with the dude. I thought I had something wrong with me.
Shit.
I was just like precautionary. I don't want to get like whatever you can get from it. But that was a cool experience. But they're all dudes that they just live on the beach 24/7, sleep in the sand. The sand keeps them warm and stuff.
Yeah, you guys are living in America at a very interesting time in our country's history. Like they always say, like every like empire or every like big thing in human history, like because you see it with you saw Britain and Russia and this and that. It's like it's like a couple hundred years, you know, and we're right around that. Like we're at like 250 right now is where we're at, you know. So it's you're seeing American culture at a very interesting time.
Dude, the world is mental right now.
And the whole world. I think it probably is the whole world.
You know, America
I'm just
is nuts, but
being a typical American, I'm not looking outside. I mean, they showed us a lot of the Ukraine stuff, and I don't even know if that's still going on or what the fuck's going on outside.
It is, but
it is.
I don't know. We used, being from the UK, we used to kind of look at America and laugh a little bit about your politics and how it's so like there's only one or the other way. And then like now the UK is just as fucked up. Like we had a baboon as the president. Of the UK as the Prime Minister,
fucking Boris
Johnson. I was like, if you put
Bojo,
you chose
Bojo.
fucking.
We got Kojo, y'all had Bojo.
But like, you could pick the two world leading countries, the United States and the United Kingdom. You have Donald Trump, who I agree with some of his stuff. I disagreed with a lot of it as well.
He conducted himself in a little bit of an interesting way.
A unique, kind of flamboyant, fucking no thrills.
The Orange Man.
And then the other, successful country, the UK, we've got a guy that actually looks fucking like him, but is just completely inept. Like he couldn't even do a press conference. He was like, and I felt sorry for him because I actually liked him. I thought he did some good for it, but then they were very like that. Not Donald Trump. What's his name? Boris Johnson. Bojo. He really made me look at everything. Go, okay, I'm not as one way as I once thought. I'm more kind of centered on things now.
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, it was like Britain was like the older brother, the kind of wiser but more boring country. You know, just always made sensible decisions. And America was like the younger brother who was just like, fuck it, whoa, let's go crazy. It was way more fun, way more shit happened. You know, it was just like fucking, that's where you go and you have fun. And they're like, you know, we're building rockets, we're going to the fucking moon, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. America was like, fuck yeah. And that's what I originally liked about America.
Do you want to do karate in the garage?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But now it's like, I think Britain's kind of lost its place, and like it doesn't seem to be the older sensible one anymore. It just seems to be like I don't think it's got a grip on like where it's at. Like I don't think anyone's really happy there, regardless of what side they're on. You know, it's not like anyone's saying like, oh no, everything's going exactly to plan, like the pound's down. We left Europe and now it's like, you know, it's hard to get fuel and groceries and shit, and it's like it's getting fucking weird.
Hear me out. Do you think, as a conspiracy theorist, do you think...
Oh boy, we got to get
Here we
McElwain
go.
on a microphone
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there. Selma, Alabama's conspiracy theorist over
Queen's
there.
not dead.
Oh, she's dead.
She's brun breed.
Yeah, she's well gone. But do you think COVID was deliberately done in order to get control, or were countries like the UK, USA getting too much control and too much power? I'm not saying I believe in this. I'm just throwing it out there as a questionable.
It seemed like China wanted to fuck everyone.
Yeah, because now we're laughing like the UK's was the cool older, was the the calm older brother in terms of political decisions.
Or do you think COVID was a big thing to get everybody to use an app that
TikTok?
everybody that's owned, and then the rest of the world, instead of looking at like super useful things and like education and all that, we're sitting there watching. But the kids are watching the older kids dance for hours on TikTok, and it's turning them into monkeys.
I mean, think the world is fucked. Like really,
because that all started right when the COVID
that was
thing happened,
COVID, yeah.
and it locked all of us in, shut down all of our exports.
I don't know if
All of us.
COVID was. I think TikTok, like, I think that was going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
Like that's like that because we kind of had Vine before. That was
Yeah,
like
I
the
loved
mini
Vine.
wave, and
Yeah.
then, but God, I don't know. I mean, I think that
So
I think
many
that you'd
questions.
be crazy to think, even if if regardless of how COVID came about, like so many people took advantage of that, and like there were governments that like some people still like some places you still have to wear a mask and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
and it's like 3 years on. And,
well, my parents were in New York. Sorry to interrupt, but my parents were in New York the other week there for like a big event, and my mum, she was saying loads of people wearing masks in New York still.
Yeah.
oh yeah. It's like a cultural thing, dude. It's become a part of the culture
Yeah.
to where people do it. I personally don't. I don't wear it really anywhere, but like it's in certain cities in America, it's like it's
Still a
part
thing.
of
Yeah.
part of like a political statement to wear a mask,
So it's-
even though you've had all 75 vaccinations.
So it's
you know?
3 years
Yeah.
since COVID
And
started.
what are you doing at this point?
3 years since COVID
Yeah.
started. Wow, that's
Yeah,
fucking.
3
how
years.
quick-
Where were you guys when March of 2020?
I was about to get my visa and move out here, and then it closed the embassy in London, so I couldn't get my visa. So I moved in with my parents and had a whole year of drinking and just not been able to make money.
Yeah, that's
That was
a
a,
tough
that was a
year.
low. That was a really low part of my life.
Yeah, were you here?
No, I was doing a TV show in Liverpool, and we stopped working for 4 months, but I was still getting paid. So, and I'd rented this like fucking cool ass huge 2-bed apartment with like loads of land around it. So I was just having
An apartment with land?
yeah. It was a big building, but there was only like 8 apartments in it. It was like this huge like castle looking thing, and it just had all these big like fancy grounds and shit. Because I was like.
Well, your experience of COVID was much better than mine. I had to sneak beers in on a Tuesday night after 9 p.m. If I clinked to bottom, my mum would text me and be like, "You fucking drinking again?" I'm like, "No, it was a bottle of Coke."
Mate, I had the time of my I mean, I drank every night as well, but like the weather was really nice in the UK when COVID happened. So I was like out in the back garden barbecuing, like drinking. I'd bring all my friends around and like. If
That was
anyone-
against the law.
Yeah, but it was private, so no one ever came in. No, like you couldn't see it from the street. And like I made me and my neighbors all made a deal, and most of them were like 65, 70. They were like, we're just gonna hang out with friends and stuff, or like in the yard, in the garden. And so we would just have like barbecues every like Friday night. So I became best friends with like my 70-year-old neighbors, and like.
Is she still alive, or did you give her COVID?
Well, it was great because when I had like all my friends from set around, like all my neighbors could see, and they were just like, no one was telling on anyone. Or
That's
anything like
cool.
that. So
Yeah.
it was like,
We got grassed on a couple of times. Like it was quite strict in Scotland. Like you were, let's say, so there's 3 different households here. You know, you live in a different place. I live in a different place. You live in a different place. That would be illegal. You were only allowed to meet with 2 households. So Callum and I, and Callum's girlfriend who lives with him, and my girlfriend who lives with me, we could hang out because that's 4 people from 2 households. But let's say you and Aaron came with us, that would be illegal. So if you get stopped in the street, they were asking people like, oh, let's see your address. What address do you come
So
from?
stupid.
I mean, you would get just a written up, but if you did it consecutively, like I was at a party during COVID, people were still obviously hanging out, and like the cops came, and like I think I ended up hiding in a shower, like. You know, I was like, fuck, I ain't getting written up. I'm trying to go to America. But all the guys that were like, fuck this, and just sat in the sofa and were like just hanging out, they all got like £100 fine. And
Jesus.
yeah.
You know what's mad is, you know, we kind of joke about like, oh, America is free as if the rest of the world isn't. And typically, you know, that isn't the case. Like, you're just as free in Scotland or Spain or Greece as you are in America. But COVID was like interesting because like I was living in Liverpool and I was driving down the street to go to my friend's house one night and I had like a case of beer, and that was meant to be illegal. You weren't allowed to go to your friend's house, so you're meant to stay in your house. And I was driving down the street and there's like military vehicles pulling people over and being like, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I just went to this supermarket to get beer. I'm driving home. And, you know, it was just like weird to have like military people telling you that you're not allowed to leave your house. Like, that's not very free. And then, so as soon as I finished the TV show, I moved straight to Texas.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Bro, parties every night. Like, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah,
I was like, freedom!
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson would have fucking loved this. If Mel Gibson was alive, he would have moved to Texas. I tell you, I was just like, they were like, what virus? I've never heard of no virus.
Yeah, we did a lot of touring with Trey with the Dick Down in Dallas thing during COVID, because that song came out December of 2020. We did 130 shows in the United States in 2021.
Holy shit! That's
Most
During
of
COVID?
most of them taking. We weren't posting pictures and videos of them. We were doing them. We were selling out 1,800 to 2,500 cap rooms in the Southeast.
Were you having to like do tests, or was nobody
country music, bro?
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Did y'all get vaccinated?
This is country music, bro.
Did you get vaccinated?
No,
I love
hell
that.
no. I think I'm the only one in my family that didn't.
I had to, in order to travel back and forward, because I'm not on a green card. I had to get it. I never had an issue with it, but I got COVID twice.
Yeah, I've had it a countless number of times.
The first time fucking was the first time I was coming to Mexico. I tested 2 days before because you had to get a negative test, and I packed you'll never believe this shit. Packed my bag. I was gonna be away for like 4 months, so my parents both came in the car with me, and my sister was there to say bye at the airport. I put my bag in the car. My guitar's on, got all my documentation that you needed. It was like a whole thing, and I got a phone call from the testing clinic, and they're like, "Hey, Mr. Andreucci, just want to let you know that your test results came back as positive." And I'm like, "Yeah," and then they're like, "No, seriously." So I was on my way to the airport, so we drove up, and I was like, "No, I want another test." So I went to a different facility, got another test, and they're like, "Yeah, you're 100% positive." So I had to move my trip back 10 days.
Oh, fuck's sake.
But that first time like killed me. I remember the first day I started to feel a little bit shitty. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do a workout, sweat out, and every piece of energy that I had just drained out of my body for like a week, and I was just sat there on the sofa dying.
Yeah.
That sounded really dramatic. It wasn't that bad, but
Yeah, shit.
I still managed to drink beer.
Shit got brutal. Well, I'm glad that we're past that. I'm glad that we got to hang out today. I'm excited to. I'm gonna have to pop out. You're gonna get me to go to Losers more, because I want to go and watch you boys at Losers and all of that stuff. And the podcast is awesome. Talkin Scotch. It's available on all the platforms.
All the platforms. We got a new episode out today.
We got music. You got music out. Callum Kerr, Chris Andreucci, Foreign Wallen. We gotta come up with a name for.
Yeah,
if he's Foreign Wallen, then who is he?
I was playing with Mark Oriot the other week, and he used the same joke, and I was like. At least he's got the mullet.
Yeah, you
I called you Foreign Wallen.
He called me Foreign Wallen.
You need to grow your hair out a little bit.
Now, playing with Mark Oriot can mean a number of different things, because that guy is always a party. So, you like?
Well, you know what was weird?
Like playing music, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a token DJ. And like we call Mark Oriot. We're like, do you know the Muffin Man? Or we go, do you know the Mushroom Man? His name's Mark Oriot.
Did he tie one on in Key West?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think I'm gonna see Mark for another week.
Well, last year in Key West, like he's probably gonna hate me for saying this, but like I was scooting home like fucking lit, you know, as we do down there, and I look over, there's like one of the scooters on the side, and like somebody's like standing holding their knee, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I look over, Mark's got a orgasm donor T-shirt on, a hat, a glitter hat that like lights up, and he's got like a blood coming out his knee. I'm like, dude, you okay? And he's like, well, he said, I just fell off my scooter. And I was like, he was fucking lit. Like, he goes crazy down there. But I love that guy. He actually just cut one of my new songs.
That's
This Side of the Dirt.
This Side of the Dirt.
Oh, yeah, This Side of the Dirt. Congrats on that,
Great
man.
song.
Fucking love that song.
Very happy with it. It was
How's
really
that
cool.
performing?
Good. I think they've been doing pretty good because they're both independent, Brian and Mark.
Yeah.
But it's been cool. Yeah, I think maybe 10,000 streams or something.
Good. Nice. Yeah. That's all you need just to get it off the ground. Like, you know, you see some artists and like, I can't remember who I saw. It was maybe like, God, it was when I was in Ibiza, and this girl, one of the extras on set, I'm like, you know, sitting waiting to go on, and she's like, oh, so what are you doing? I'm like, oh, just, you know, I'm acting in this. And she's like, oh, I'm a musician. I was like, oh, cool. And, you know, she keeps chirping. So I was like, oh, well, where can I find you? And so she shows me her Spotify, and it's everyone is like lower than 1,000, and you're just, to get over that is like, you know, that's really the main bit, because you never want people to go on it, and it's like, you know, 4 plays.
I know, it's a big thing, like, nowadays. It's like, just the way people perceive you. I know it's a shit thing, but your social media presence is bigger than ever. Like, it's numbers. And I don't like it. Even, like, I've had meetings for new pub deals, and even for publishing only, people are like, what's your numbers? I'm like, really?
Yeah.
But the world's a different place now, and the music industry is different, so we'll see what fucking happens.
Yeah, we'll let the podcast blow up, and then
it's gonna get there. So y'all be sure to check out our boys. We appreciate you guys coming on. I knew this one was gonna run long, but we ran long.
Oh shit! How long did we do?
Oh well, we started at 11:09.
Oh shit!
Oh, okay. Well, we talk a lot of Scotch. We talk a lot of shit too. So, Mart. Sorry, Matt. Thanks for having us on. Mart. I was talking about Mark
put us together.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Hey,
appreciate
dude,
it.
really appreciate you guys coming on. Really believe in what you boys are doing, and I'm excited to see where it all goes. And appreciate you guys coming on our new Outside the Round thing. You know, we do it out of the box. It's a little bit different than the typical. So, what are your musical influences? So, what is this? What is that?
Sure.
You know, we cut it up, talk some shit, have some fun. So, I appreciate you boys. Where can people find you on the social medias and stuff?
You can get me at Chris A Music Official everywhere.
Nice. Just Callum _Kerr _1. Callum Kerr wasn't available, neither was Callum Kerr 1, but I'm never going to be Callum Kerr 2, you know, so I just put like underscores under them all. So that's become, you know, that's on all social media. We've we've got at Talkin Scotch.
Yes.
Talkin without a G, Talkin, which is actually Scottish and country, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Talkin.
Talkin Scotch.
Don't know what that was that I just did there, but can we cut now?
Before Chris starts speaking country.
Foreign walling over here. Well, guys, thank you for watching another episode of Outside the Round, a Raised Rowdy podcast. Be sure to look up our boys here, Callum and Chris. Follow Talkin Scotch, great podcast here in Nashville, Tennessee. We got to give some love to our sponsors, Whaletail Media, Saxman Studios, our boy Mitch Wallace with The Digital Marketing Agency, and of course our friends at Big Friendly Productions. Looking to make your merch, hit up our friends at BFP. Well, for McElway and Sweet Boy behind the camera and the boys right here, thank you again for watching another edition of Outside the Round with me, Matt Burrill. You all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.